Hi everyone, welcome to Connecting to Your Joy. This is Module 1 and this is about the brain and connecting to yourself. Let's get started. So this module is divided into 4 lessons. The first lesson involves understanding your brain and how it affects your connection to yourself. Lesson 1.2 is about connecting back to your whole self and how it is so integral to connecting to Mother Nature. Lesson 1.3 is a beautiful lesson. It is literally the offerings of joy you give to your beautiful self, and it will form the foundation to you setting up a daily ritual for yourself to connect to your own joy. Lesson 1.4 is another beautiful intuitive lesson where you start to tune in to the whispers of your soul. And when you do this, you start to follow your intuitive feelings more and more, gaining more trust in yourself and connecting to your joy. Understanding your brain and how it affects your connection to yourself is an incredibly empowering thing to do for yourself. It is like letting the flowers of joy bloom within your entire being, but especially within your brain. And that's why I've picked this picture for you to see, because this is actually an outline of the brain. And when you activate it in the way that is the most aligned with your own joy, then you really do truly bloom from the inside out. So here's what we're going to cover. First, we're going to talk about how your brain works in relation to your mood. And then we're going to cover how your brain connects to your heart, how to access your heart, and why gratitude is so important for connecting back to your joy, as well as how to transform any given moment with this feeling of gratitude. So let's look at the brain and the heart a little bit more closely. When you're looking at your brain, you need to think about, for the purpose of this lesson, think about the brain in 3 sections. You've got your thinking brain, your limbic or emotional brain, and your automatic brain. So when you look at this picture of the brain on the right, you can see the blue arrows indicate the thinking brain. The yellow arrows indicate the emotional or feeling brain. The red cauliflower-like structure, which is your cerebellum, indicates your automatic brain. So in any moment in time, whatever thoughts you're thinking, these then send chemicals to the feeling brain or the limbic brain. And so for instance, if you're thinking, I'm feeling really sad, or I'm sad today, then it goes to the feeling brain. And the feeling brain goes, right, the thought that has been generated here is, I'm sad, so I'm going to start feeling sad. And then as you start to feel sad, that then sends chemicals back to the thinking brain and activates the thinking brain in the same manner, saying, well, now I'm feeling sad. And so the thinking brain then starts to think that it's sad. And so the cycle continues on and on and on. Meanwhile, the cerebellum, which is the automatic brain, if you like, is watching this whole interplay of chemicals between the thinking and the feeling brain. And so if you're thinking sad thoughts constantly, and then you're feeling these sad thoughts, and they're both sort of having a great conversation between each other, then the cerebellum goes, well, this must be her truth. This must be her emotional landscape. This is how she actually feels. She's just sad all the time. And so the cerebellum, which is the automatic brain, sets that emotional landscape as sadness inside of you. The same works if you are thinking happy thoughts. The emotional or the limbic brain gets activated to feel happy thoughts. And then these send chemicals back and forth to the thinking brain and the feeling brain generating positive thoughts, which then feed, positive feelings. And the cerebellum picks up on these positive thoughts and feelings and then sets your emotional landscape as a happier landscape. And so this is just a basic description of the brain. This is really empowering because you are actually the driver of your thoughts and your feelings in terms of you choosing which thoughts and feelings you are going to focus on growing. So if you look at the picture on the left and you have a look at the red coloring, that's the thinking brain. And that's involved in thoughts of insight, intuition, emotional regulation. The limbic brain is involved with your sense of security, your sense of safety, whether you're more in a fight or flight response, or whether you're in a rest, relax, or digest system response. The good part of this is you don't have to run on autopilot. You can break this pattern at any point in time. So now that you have a bit of an idea about the brain, let's move to the heart. So the heart and the brain are deeply connected too. The heart is a major processing center, and it has a huge electromagnetic field. And this electromagnetic field is greatly affected by all your emotions. So the more expanded your emotions are, the greater your electromagnetic field is. And breathing deeply into the heart region is a way of accessing your heart by marrying elevated emotions for yourself or others or a place or event or anything that's happened in your life. And I will go through how to do this in an exercise just shortly. But gratitude is so important because gratitude and other positive elevated qualities such as love and compassion positively increase this electromagnetic field, which then increases the coherence that occurs between your brain and your heart. So as you think thoughts that are positive and full of joy, and you feel these positive, joyful feelings, and you engage your automatic brain to set that as your emotional landscape, and then you access this feeling of gratitude deep within your heart, this constant flow of communication between your brain and your heart increases this feeling of coherence that exists within yourself. Transforming any given moment with gratitude helps to further access your heart and your limbic brain in a positive way. So for instance, if something happened, like someone cut across your car while you were driving in traffic and you had your child in the back, and you were understandably annoyed that it happened, in that moment you could be grateful for the fact that you are still alive and you are both safe. But say you couldn't quite muster up that feeling of gratitude. In that moment, you could actually search for anything that you were grateful for in the day to generate the genuine feeling of gratitude. So if you just thought, oh, I'm grateful for this, that wouldn't work. You would actually have to feel that feeling of gratitude in your heart. And that activates your limbic brain. See, most people try and think positive thoughts, but they don't try and activate that limbic emotional brain to feel the energy of that positivity. We're going to do an exercise right now, and that will explain things a lot easier for you. So now what I'd like you to do is breathe deeply in and out, and put your hands on your heart. And as you breathe deeply in and out, I would like you to think about how you want to feel in this moment. And say, I feel whatever you would like to feel. Now see if you can access a moment in time when you last felt this feeling. It could have been today, it could have been yesterday, or a year ago, and it might have been just for a brief moment in time. See if you can breathe deeply into this feeling. See if you can recall everyone who was around you during that moment, the sounds, how you were feeling, what was happening. And see if you can increase the intensity of this feeling to about a 9 or 10 out of 10. And whatever the highest intensity you have gotten this feeling to now, restate that feeling. So state, I feel, and the feeling that you're generating. Now, feel and express within yourself this deep gratitude for this feeling that you have generated for yourself. And really, truly feel gratitude for this feeling that you have chosen. Well done. You have just connected to your heart and to your brain. And you have connected just for a minute to your joy. Now, in selecting the feeling that you wanted to feel and actively generating that feeling within yourself, you activated the limbic emotional part of your brain, and by expressing gratitude for that feeling, you further increased the activation of your heart, increasing the coherence between the brain and the heart. And this, for that moment in time, expanded your sense of well-being. And this is just the start to you understanding more about your brain and your heart. If you want to look this up a little bit more, you can look up the HeartMath Institute, and I've put some references down for you to look into that more. In the meantime, we have some more fun to experience. We're now going to look at the connection of yourself to nature and connecting back to your whole self.